It's all your fault. It's because of you. It's always your fault. When it comes to a narcissist, it is always all your fault for everything. The narcissist is constantly making you wrong regardless of the situation. You'll even be wrong in an incident that happened at their workplace, even if you weren't there or never even called. It's your fault because somehow you stressed them out so badly that morning or last week or last year. And the stress was because you mismatched a pair of their socks while folding laundry. The worst part in this is as silly, absurd, and unbelievable that would sound to an outsider. This is one of the many outrageous things that happens to victims. They get abused and blamed for the most nonsensical things. And there are a few reasons as to why the narcissist is going to do this. And one of them is baiting. They'll be upset about something that has nothing to do with you. Perhaps someone they know won the lottery and now they're angry. And of course they can't attack the lottery winner for the jealousy that they feel. So in order to blow off the rage that they feel inside, they're going to bait you into some sort of a fight so that they can release the steam. And once the fight starts, you're going to be blamed for having started the fight. Another reason that they will blame you for things is to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. We call this projection and deflection. Narcissists often project their own flaws onto others. For instance, if they are habitually dishonest, which they are, they will accuse you of being untrustworthy. And through this tactic, they divert attention away from their shortcomings, making you the focal point of blame. And an example of that is a narcissistic partner who frequently flirts with others, accuses their significant other of being overly friendly and unfaithful. The narcissist has a lot of shame within, which they can't handle at all. So in order to relieve that feeling of shame, they'll place all the blame on you. And the third one that I want to mention is the sensitivity issues that they deal with. Narcissists feel so low about themselves that any little thing that you do can set them off. It can be something as minute as nodding your head in recognition of something that they said, where they were expecting you to engage in a full-blown conversation with them because in that moment they were in need of supply, as though you were a mind reader here. Or if you cross your arms, if you feel a little bit chilly, to them will be read as though you're this angry person. And so you're going to be blamed once again. It's your fault that they feel bad because you should have done your part as the servant and made them feel good. It is so stressful living with a narcissist. And the thing is that you often don't see the stress until you leave the relationship. You don't see the severity of what this has done, even though you've gained 10 pounds and you've lost all your hair and you have stomach issues and you're having panic attacks. Hint, hint. But we're asleep. And that's because we've become so accustomed to this. It seems that it's the only reality. We're trauma bonded. We're in survival mode. We're numb. And a part of you is lost and feeling that there isn't anything out there that could be better for you. I mean, how many of you had thought that perhaps God is there for everyone else, but not you? You're not alone in this. Narcissists will use all types of manipulation techniques to enable blame on the victim. Gaslighting techniques, of course. Gaslighting involves distorting reality to make the victim doubt their own perceptions and sanity, for those who aren't familiar with gaslighting. Narcissists will use gaslighting to invalidate your feelings, your thoughts, and experiences, leaving you constantly questioning yourself, constantly doubting yourself. An example of that is they will deny making hurtful comments, insisting that you're overly sensitive or you're imagining things, so it's your fault because, well, you're unhinged. They'll use selective memory and amnesia. Narcissists, they conveniently forget or alter details of past events to suit their narrative. And this tactic, it allows them to rewrite history and place the blame squarely on your shoulders. An example of that would be after a heated argument, the narcissist claims that they never said all those awful things to you, conveniently forgetting their hurtful words. So if they aren't at fault, that means you're to blame for this argument. Shifting goalposts. Narcissists are adept at setting unrealistic expectations and then shifting the goalpost when these expectations are not met. The perpetual moving of targets ensures that you're always falling short, reinforcing their narrative that you are in the wrong. A narcissistic partner might set unrealistic expectations for emotional support, demanding unwavering attention and empathy. However, even when the partner provides significant emotional support, the narcissist continually moves the goalposts by claiming their needs are never met. It's never enough for them. That's their game. They want you to keep chasing. And then, of course, there's the playing the victim card. Narcissists are skilled at flipping the script. They play on empathy and compassion to garner sympathy while simultaneously making you the perpetrator. You're to blame for everything. Everything that goes wrong in the relationship is your fault. So if you're upset because they called you horrible names, apparently you were supposed to talk about it with them and explain that name calling is hurtful. So now you're the one that's being passive aggressive because you didn't address the subject. Another one is if an intruder showed up at your house while you were at work and the narcissist didn't lock the door behind them as they left the house because they were the last ones out, it is your fault for not having reminded them to lock the door. It's your fault that the neighbor is rude to you. It's also your fault that the neighbor is rude to them. You must have done something to cause that. It's your fault that the plumber showed up late because you should have called a reliable plumber, or you should have checked in with him in the morning. I mean, living under the scrutiny and the blame of a narcissist, it can take, and it does take, a huge toll on your mental and your emotional well-being. Remember, it's not about you being wrong. That's what we need to really fully grasp. It's all about the narcissist's need for control and superiority. Let's look at 10 sentences commonly used that I put together by narcissists to shift blame. You're always or you never. An example of that would be you always ruin things with your negativity. I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't. Example, I wouldn't have yelled at you had you just listened to me. You misunderstood what I said. I didn't mean it that way. You just misunderstood. I did it for you, but you're ungrateful. Example, I worked late to provide for you, and this is how you appreciate me? I'm only trying to help you. Example, if you just let me handle things, you wouldn't mess up all the time. Always your fault. You're too sensitive. It's like they all have the same language here, right? I was just joking. You're just too sensitive. You're imagining things. I never said that. You must be imagining it. So they're always never wrong, which means you're always wrong. You're always at fault. Another one is, I can't be bothered with your issues. I have more important things to focus on. I did my best, but you're impossible to please. Example, no matter what I do, you're always dissatisfied. It's impossible to make you happy. And the last one is, if you were more like me, then maybe we wouldn't be in this mess. Your fault. And now here are some common scenarios where the narcissist tends to employ blame-shifting tactics outside of intimate relationships, because you aren't the only one being blamed here. The rest of the world is too. The workplace dynamics. In professional settings, narcissists are going to shift blame to protect their image or evade responsibility for mistakes, just like they do at home. And just like they do at home, they will point fingers at colleagues or subordinates to divert attention from their own shortcomings. An example of that would be a narcissistic manager might blame team members for project delays, saying, if only you all worked harder, we wouldn't be behind schedule, rather than blaming it on their own management skills. Parental responsibilities. In family dynamics, narcissistic parents will set blame onto their children for their own inadequacies. They might criticize their children's accomplishments to use them as scapegoats to avoid acknowledging their own personal failures. And an example of that is a narcissistic parent might say, if you were a better child, I wouldn't have to constantly worry about your behavior. Meanwhile, the child is acting out due to the constant criticism or the lack of acknowledgement from the parent. And then we have the financial issues. That's not just on the outside, that concerns you too, this one, but I want to mention it. When faced with financial issues, the narcissist is going to shift blame onto external factors or even their partners. They're going to avoid responsibility for overspending or financial mismanagement. Narcissists are going to blame their partners for the couple's economic failures or difficulties, disregarding their own spending habits or financial irresponsibility. And an example of that is, if you were more responsible with money, we wouldn't be facing these financial issues. So if you buy, I don't know, something for $50 one month, they'll say it's your fault. But meanwhile, they have spent every other day buying something for themselves. And so it's your fault for overspending. And of course, the blame shifting tactic helps them avoid accountability for the role in their financial problems. Or a narcissist might blame economic conditions, saying that if it weren't for the economy, we wouldn't be struggling. It's not my fault we're in debt. It's never their fault, right? Don't you know that by now? Then we have the social settings. In social settings, narcissists, they shift blame to maintain a positive image. So they might blame others for social faux pas or awkward moments, ensuring that the focus remains on the perceived shortcomings of those around them. So for example, a narcissistic individual might say, the party was a disaster because of your friends. They ruined the whole evening. And then let's look at the infidelity accusations. Narcissists will accuse their partners of infidelity as a way to deflect attention from their own unfaithful behavior. The tactics allow them to project guilt onto their partner and avoid addressing their own indiscretions. So for example, a narcissistic partner might say, you never listen properly, and that's why we always end up arguing. So you're to blame for everything that goes wrong in the relationship, which is why they cheat. It's all because of you. You have failed them. They might say things like, you're so cold and distant. No wonder I feel lonely in this relationship. It's your fault for not being more affectionate. A narcissistic individual caught cheating might say, I saw the way that you looked at that person. No wonder I sought attention elsewhere. Or you don't dress nice for them anymore. Or you just don't know how to make them feel wanted. You don't appreciate them. Blah, 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 blah. Don't take the bait. Do this instead. Maintain composure. Start by staying calm and collected. A composed response helps prevent escalating the situation, and it reinforces your emotional strength. But not only that, they don't get to control you. The narcissist wants you to fall apart, and they want you out of control. Don't let them. You win that way. Define clear boundaries. Clearly communicate your boundaries. Let the narcissist know that you won't accept being unfairly blamed anymore, and establish consequences for crossing those boundaries. And again here, you want to say it calmly. You want to see the narcissist falling apart at the seams? That's the way to go. They cannot stand seeing you in control like that. Express your emotions using I statements to avoid sounding accusatory, because the narcissist is looking for anything that they can grab onto to blame you. Focus on specific incidents. Redirect the conversation to specific incidents rather than engaging in generalizations. So you want to stick to the tactics and address each situation individually, but still have low expectations of the outcome. Validate emotions without accepting blame. Acknowledge the narcissist's feelings without admitting fault. Show empathy while maintaining your position. An example of that would be, I understand that you're upset and I'm sorry that you feel that way. However, I don't believe I am solely responsible for everything that's gone wrong. Be firm and still be calm. If you yell, you're not winning. He sees that you're out of control. Next, avoid justifying or explaining excessively. Resist the urge to over-explain or justify your actions, because narcissists, they will use this as an opportunity to manipulate or divert the conversation. So for example, you might want to say something like, I've shared my perspective and I won't engage in further justifications. Let's find a solution. And then lastly, if all else fails, walk away. Remember, the narcissist is hunting here. They are looking for all types of ways to bring you down. So keep that in the forefront of your mind. It's always about bringing you down so that they can be raised up. Learn to decipher your reality, not theirs. Less attention on them and more on you. Try that on for size, because looking to the narcissist to raise you up or support you or acknowledge you is like walking straight into a brick wall. And the faster that you can get that, the easier it's going to be to respond to their antics. And so I leave you with all of this to ponder on, and we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.